Now it's time for other parts of the Old Testament, and then the creation account, which will blow your mind. We've had several comments about creation, but I'm telling you, we have been misreading it all of these years, and we're going to start with the book of Jubilees on that. That's just going to nail it down and wrap this in a bow perfectly. But let's finish this first. Do the other parts of the Old Testament agree with Moses and the Gospels that we've covered thus far? Well, by now you have already guessed they do, but check out how. We are the God Culture, a group of independent researchers with no affiliation to any denomination nor organization whatsoever. We read the Word and we test it as 1 Thessalonians 5:21 tells us, "Prove all things, hold fast that which is good. And man, it is good to be in his presence in all things." Wait till you see these clear reckonings, including a story of a Levite wanderer who sets out on the fourth day in the morning, and it remains the fourth day in that evening and all night. The fifth day comes in the morning and continues afternoon, evening, and night, and then it comes back again and refers to tomorrow as beginning the morning again. Pretty hard to mistake that for a lunar calendar. Time to break down other Old Testament accounts that demonstrate the start of the day at sunrise. Remember, the book of Jubilees sets forth a biblical calendar of 364 days, 12 30-day months, with 1 day added at the end of each quarter. Again, observing the moon as the track for the calendar disrupts Yahuwah's calendar and does not work. Wait till you see what we cover next from Jubilees, which comes right out. We've been saving it for the creation account, though, and we're going to do that next. The new moon comes in 10 days too soon, and the moon cycle, as we've discovered, even in 2020, is off 22 of 52 weeks of the year, with some coming in 6 days, some 8 days, some 9 days in a week. That doesn't work. That's the wrong cycle. It disrupts the Sabbath 22 times in 2020. But also, it gets one off track. See, the Sabbath is always on the seventh day. The lunisolar calendar from some of the groups out there that even have an app for it, it cannot work because they're not continuing 7-day cycles. They're skipping to the 8th and the 9th day from month to month and other times, and it just cannot make sense. The same day of the week every week is Sabbath since creation and forever. Some have asked how we know Saturday is that day, and we've gone pretty far back in history, and that is well established. In fact, over 100 nations around the earth call their Saturday by their name for Sabbath, such as Sabado and similar. This has been preserved by pretty much history throughout, all along. And we'd be the first to test it and say otherwise. We have no problem with that. And love to see some research if someone ever found any. We've never seen anything out there that ever proves that Saturday is not the seventh day. Haven't seen it. This has been preserved, but what time does the day start? It starts at sunrise. Let's see. In the story of Lot and his daughters, just after the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah, Genesis 19 says, "And it came to pass on the morrow," that's tomorrow, "that the firstborn said unto the younger, Behold, I lay yesternight, that's last night, with my father. Let us make him drink wine this night also, and go thou in and lie with him, that we may preserve seed of our father." Now they thought the world had ended. Doesn't make it right. It was wrong. It was sin. But their sons, by the way, were Moab and Ammon, which still are preserved in modern Jordan in name to this day. Anyway, in this passage, it is tomorrow. And last night, or yesternight, the older daughter slept with her father. And tonight, the younger will. This lays out last night was yesterday, and the daytime, as they are speaking, as today, with the evening being today still, not tomorrow. Therefore, on the lunar calendar, tonight would be tomorrow. It would not be today still. And that is clearly not being applied here because the Bible does not use a lunar calendar. The day begins at sunrise, not sunset. Now let's go to Gideon. Judges 6. And it was so. He rose up early on the morrow, tomorrow, and thrust the fleece together and wring the dew out of the fleece, a bowl full of water. Now, we're not covering the whole text here. Read the story in full context. We're just looking for the markers for the day. Early in the morning is tomorrow. Gideon laid the fleece down the night before, according to the story. He told Yahuwah if it was wet from the dew and the ground around it was dry, which would be a miracle indeed, he would believe him and do as he says. And of course, Yahuwah passed the test. However, when does dew fall? In the morning, in the very early morning, before sunrise, and just at sunrise. That's when dew settles. Or, according to this passage, tomorrow, the next day, not the same day in which he laid the fleece, which was the evening before. If he were on a lunar calendar, he would not view it this way and would not have written it this way, or at least whoever wrote Judges. The morning would still be today, not tomorrow. Then Gideon tries Yahuwah again with another test, the opposite. This time the dew is to be on the ground, but the fleece dry, and it was, but look at the language. And God did so that night, in other words, overnight, for it was dry upon the fleece only. When did Gideon check? In the morning, just like we just saw early in the morning. And there was dew on all the ground. So overnight, when Gideon checked in the morning on the next day after dew falls, because that's when it falls, it was dry. So Gideon is on the hook. Sorry, buddy, but you got to do it now. You better follow Yahuwah. But the point of this is you have a progression in time that is very clear. The lunar calendar is not being applied in this story of Gideon. Here's Joshua again, who already demonstrated the sunrise for the new day in the last video about manna, pretty much. Joshua 7, up, sanctify the people, and say, sanctify yourselves against tomorrow. Tomorrow is when? Well, let's keep reading. In the morning. Therefore, ye shall be brought according to your tribes. The morning is tomorrow, not today. Therefore, sunrise begins a new day. Now, it's not as strong as some of the rest, but still pretty clear, isn't it? And remember, Joshua kept the same calendar as Moses, so it would have to agree with all of the abundant passages from Moses anyway. Back to Judges, and next we're really going to nail this down in the next story. But this is the story of Abimelech, chapter 9. And it came to pass on the morrow, tomorrow, that the people went out into the field. Now, this is to do battle. What's that? Well, they do that during the daylight, not at night. And they told Abimelech, now when is tomorrow? Well, first, when do nations typically do battle? Because that is what this is, and there are many such passages. They do so in the daylight typically. It is very rare that they would do it at night. And Abimelech fought against the city all that day. Tomorrow starts at sunrise. Again, this is not quite as direct as perhaps some of the others that are so clear, but this is pretty clear nevertheless. In Judges 19, the story of the traveling Levite is amazing when it comes to this topic. Watch how this progresses, and it is very obvious It is not a lunar or moon calendar at all. It's based on the sun. Judges 19. And it came to pass on the fourth day, so we're on day 4, when they arose early in the morning, okay, so early in the morning, it's the fourth day, that he rose up to depart. And the damsel's father said unto his son-in-law, Comfort thine heart with a morsel of bread, and afterward go your way. So this chronological account, you'll see, begins, let's establish this, on the fourth day early in the morning, because that's when the fourth day begins, but doesn't say that yet. But this is just after sunrise, and you'll see how the day progresses. So clear. And they sat down and did eat and drink, both of them together. For the damsel's father had said unto the man, Be content, I pray thee, and tarry all night. What night? Well, we're still in the fourth day, you're going to see. And let thine heart be merry. And when the men rose up to depart, his father-in-law urged him. Therefore he lodged there again. So, this is still the fourth day in the evening. The day did not change. How do we know? Because we are about to read when the fifth day starts. Check this out. And he rose early in the morning on the fifth day to depart. Oops, it was the fourth day up until this next morning. Early in the morning now turns into the fifth day. And the damsel's father said, Comfort thine heart, I pray thee. And they tarried until the afternoon, still on the fifth day. And they did eat both of them. So still the fifth day. At this point we're in the afternoon, but keep reading. It continues on. And don't worry, the progression will tie this down in the end completely, you'll see. We are still in the fifth day. Remember, we just saw morning and afternoon on the fifth day so far. And when the man rose up to depart, he and his concubine and his servant, his father-in-law, the damsel's father, said unto him, Behold, now the day draweth toward evening. I pray you tarry all night. See, the Levite now stays. And by the way, this is a story of true hospitality for a Levite priest. It is an awesome story when you think about it, and may we all be so generous in this sense. So the fifth day morning began. Then it was afternoon, and now we're still on the fifth day in the evening, which we're going to see in a minute. The day hasn't changed yet. And all night, as the Levite is begged to stay another night, the day does not change in the evening to the sixth day. But keep going. Behold, the day groweth to an end. The daytime, obviously, this passage leaves no room for anything else. So keep reading. Lodge here, that thine heart may be merry, and tomorrow get you early on your way, that thou mayest go home. Do we go around saying tomorrow early is 6 p.m. in the evening at sunset? Obviously not. It doesn't work. So they are begging the Levite to stay until the early morning, which is tomorrow. The evening is not tomorrow, is it? No, it's still the fifth day. The sixth day would begin in the morning. This passage cannot match the lunar calendar period, because that is not the biblical calendar. One more from Esther. Esther 2:14. In the evening she went, and on the morrow she returned into the second house of the women. So she traveled in the evening, and the morning is tomorrow. These passages are pretty clear and can't really be misconstrued. So other parts of the Old Testament agree with Moses in the story of Passover and the Exodus, in the account of the manna, and all of this agrees with the New Testament, especially the timing of the death and resurrection of Messiah, which really is hard to mistake, especially in all of this. We've now, 4 videos, I think, that covered Passover events, and all pretty much line up to the same thing, Old and New Testament. This all matches as it must. Scripture can be reconciled with Scripture. The day begins at sunrise, and the Sabbath begins at sunrise on Saturday, though just before sunrise on Sunday, which is still Saturday, in which our Messiah rose on the Sabbath still, which he must. It is not Friday evening, and the lunar calendar is toast. In the next videos, it will be completely toast and obliterated, because we'll explore the creation account itself. And this is amazing. Wait till you see what Jubilees further says about the sun and its use for the calendar. Find out next. Thank you for watching our Sabbath series. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Don't forget to click the bell. Over 200 videos now for you to test. Links as the top pin in comments and in the description box. Many available in English and Tagalog. Don't forget, like us on Facebook at The God Culture _space original. We only have one YouTube and one Facebook page. Share this video with others and check out our website at thegodculture.com. Always remember to prove all things for yourself. We love you all. Yah bless and Shabbat Shalom or Sabbath peace. If you are watching this on Sabbath, stay safe and Yah bless to all.